Right, settle in, folks. Today I'm going to absolutely demolish 5 property myths that get passed around like it's a dodgy tenner at a car boot sale. And before you ask, no, this isn't one of those videos where I tell you location, 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 like it's some groundbreaking revelation. We're going to be deep. We're going deeper than that. I've been invested in property since I swapped my lorry keys for property keys. And let me tell you something. The amount of absolute waffle people believe about property would fill more storage units than I've got HMOs. And I've got a few. So grab a brew and let's get into it. Myth number 1. You need at least £50,000 to get started in property. Right? Who's telling you that? Someone who wants you not to get started. That's who. Look, I was a lorry driver. Do you know what my savings account looked like? It looked like my motivation on a Monday morning. Practically non-existent. Now here's what nobody tells you. There are so many creative strategies. Joint ventures, lease options, vendor finance, using other people's money essentially. Now I'm not saying you can start with absolutely nothing. You need something. Knowledge, credibility, a good deal, relationships. But 50K? Nah. I've seen people get started with 5,000. I've seen people get started with less. The question isn't how much do I need? The question is what strategy fits what I've actually got. And before someone in the comments goes, but Narelle, there's rules. Yes, there are legal and proper ways to do all of this. I'm not telling you to do anything dodgy. I'm telling you to stop making excuses. I'm going to move on before I get too ranty and you think this is a TED talk. Myth number 2. Property always goes up in value. Oh, does it? Does it? Tell that to everyone who bought in 2007 and watched their equity evaporate faster than my patience with property gurus. Now look, property generally trends upward over a long term, but always. No, it goes through cycles. It has crashes, it has flat periods when nothing happens for years. And here's the thing that really gets me. People use this myth to justify buying absolute rubbish properties. Oh, it'll go up eventually. No, Sharon, your 1-bed flat with no parking in the middle of nowhere, that's already overpriced, isn't going to magically become a goldmine just because you waited 10 years. Property investment isn't about hoping for capital growth. It's about buying right, adding value, cash flow, and having an actual strategy. If your entire plan is to buy it and wait for it to go up, you're not an investor. You're a gambler with a mortgage. Myth number 3, and this one properly winds me up. You need to buy your own home before you can invest. I know I didn't. Why? Who made up this rule? Was it the same person who decided we all need to go into university and get into debt before we're allowed to have a career? I know so many successful property investors who rent their own home. You know why? Because they've got their money working for them in investments, instead of tied up in a house they live in. Your home is not an investment. It's where you live. It's a lifestyle choice. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with renting if it gives you more flexibility and capital to actually invest in property. Now, I'm not saying don't buy your own home. If you want to, brilliant. But this idea that you somehow are not a real investor until you own your own place, absolute nonsense. Some of the wealthiest property investors I know have their money in their portfolio, not their primary residence. Stop letting other people's judgments about the property ladder dictate your financial strategy. Myth number 4. This is my favorite one to destroy anyway. Property is passive income. You just buy it and the money rolls in while you sleep. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of Sheba. Property is passive income like being a parent is passive. Sure, eventually when something's set up properly and running smoothly and you've got good systems and good people, it becomes more passive. But getting there, that's work. Tenants ring you at 2 a.m. because the boiler's broken. Contractors ghost you. Estate agents, well, let's not even go there or we'll be here all day. Here's the truth. Property can become relatively passive, but you've got to put in the work up front. You've got to build systems, find good tradespeople, maybe get a letting agent you actually trust, which is rarer than finding a parking space at Tesco's on a Saturday. Anyone selling you on property as passive income from day one is selling you a dream, and probably a course that costs more than a decent deposit. Property is powerful. It can give you financial freedom, but easy? Nah, mate. Finally, myth number 5. You need to be an expert before you can start. Now this one's sneaky because it sounds sensible, doesn't it? But here's what actually happens. People spend years learning and never actually doing anything. They watch every YouTube video, they read every book, they go to every free webinar, and they never buy a property. You know when you actually learn property investing? When you do it. I learned more from my first property purchase, including all my mistakes, than I did from a year of research. Now, I'm not saying go be reckless. Get some basic knowledge, get your understanding, the fundamentals. Don't just buy an old thing because a bloke in the shiny shoes told you to. But you don't need to know everything before you start. You need to know enough to take action on the right deal with the right support. Analysis paralysis is real, and it keeps more people out of property than the lack of money ever did. You don't need to be an expert. You need to be willing to learn as you go, make some mistakes, and actually take action. Right, there you have it. 5 property myths, absolutely demolished. You're welcome. Look, property isn't magic. It's not easy, but it's also not as complicated or as impossible as people make it out to be. The biggest thing standing between most people and their first investment property, the stories they tell themselves about why they can't do it. So stop believing the myth, start believing in what's actually possible. And if you found this helpful, smash that subscribe button. I've got loads more property truth bombs coming your way. Right, I'm off to deal with a tenant who thinks a broken light bulb constitutes an emergency. See you in the next one.